Hi everyone, this is Sonia Chavla. I'm the founder of MommyWize and your host for today. We are celebrating Women's Day on MommyWize today, and since morning we are in conversation with five different women from five different backgrounds and discussing with them their struggle, their journey, and the significance of Women's Day for them. Uh, in these live sessions, I have had a great experience with every live chat because it has been truly inspiring. Every conversation brought a lot of value to the way I look. Is bringing in a lot of value to the way that I look at things, and it has been a very enriching experience. If you have missed on any of the live session, these live sessions are available on our feed in our IGTV and also on our MommyWize Facebook handle. And I would request everyone out there to go back and watch each of these sessions because, as I said, every conversation that I have had, I have learned so much. It has been truly inspiring, and there will be something or the other that each one of you can take from these sessions. Before I welcome my fourth and the next guest in, I would like to inform our viewers and our followers that we are having a Women's Day giveaway on our handle today. To make this mommy wise, this Women's Day an extra special one for you. The theme for International Women's Day this time is Choose to Challenge. All you have to do is send in your messages in the comment section below and tell us what is it that you would like to challenge in the scenarios today to bring in the change in the environment that we are in, to make it an equal environment for women and the one that is inclusive. Um, just send those things in. We will announce all the winners around 9 o'clock today. We have two more sessions today, one right now and another one at 7 o'clock. And we will close this thing at 8 o'clock around that time. So do send in your messages till then and get chance to get these giveaways from Namely Natural, which are products from them. And I'm very sure you're going to enjoy these products. And we would want to make it extra special for you. Uh, with that, I will introduce to you our next guest. Uh, and All right, so to begin with, our next guest is Sonal Kapoor. She's the founder director of Protsahan India Foundation, and she works on child protection and encourages young girls from different backgrounds who have survived violence and abuse to reach their full potential with access to education, healthcare, and gender justice. Sonal believes in the fact that if you want our children to thrive, they need to survive first. And that is one step even before we provide them education. Now, when I read that, it was um, a thought that came to me that because we don't listen to these stories very often, and so from the limited kind of things that we have around us, we think that things have changed, the life is good in our families, we give a lot of importance to our daughters and all of that, but probably in our homes it might have changed, but overall maybe in the society and everywhere at grassroots level things have not changed that much, and that is what we're going to discuss with Sonal today. So let me quickly check where she is and bring her in. I think she's right there. Yeah, there she is. Hi, Sonal. How are you doing today?
Hi, Sonia. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
A very happy Women's Day to you.
Same to you and all the men and women and children and girls and everybody, young, old, men, man, woman, third gender, everybody. Happy Women's Day to all.
Thank you so much, Sonal. It is truly inspiring because Sonal has dedicated her entire life into this cause. And I really want to understand from Sonal as to, Sonal, just tell us about this work that you do and what is it all about?
So we work with young girls. We started way back in 2010. It's funny, when we recount all those years that have gone by, and we're still learning, and it still every day feels like there's a new challenge. There are 10 more challenges that to have to come, and we have to solve them as one by one and one day by day wise. But I think the journey has been more of unlearning every day and every year. Every 3, 4, 5 years, I think I kind of take a step back and I feel that a lot. I've only unlearned a lot of who I had, I think, kind of maybe just piled on as a young person, as a adolescent, as a whatever you call it. But each day I'm not learning, I'm unlearning a lot of that stuff. So we work with young girls, a lot of whom are at risk, a lot of whom are already survivors of insane amount of violence and difficult circumstances, adverse childhood circumstances that we now call, and we make sure that each child, each girl that we work with has the potential and the capacity to to heal herself. And that's one of the things that Sonia, you mentioned in the beginning, that yes, education is critical, it's important, it's a non-negotiable, but that education has to have a meaning where the little child who's dealt with so much of trauma and violence in her life, in her entire childhood, grows up to be a healed individual. So a lot of creativity in the classroom, a lot of care of teachers, a lot of compassionate care, as we now call it in a psychological term. All of that and more is what we try and provide those girls.
Yeah. Sonal, before I go on to the next question, I first want to know what made you start this?
Oh, so I
As
was
in,
an Yeah, yeah. I was in advertising. I was this regular corporate individual immediately after my MBA. And only now I realized that MBA was such a waste of time and money and everything else. But I think at 22, 23, there is not much you know about life, right?
okay.
I had a great education. I come from a very middle class income family, lower middle class or middle class income family. But my parents always made sure that I had the best of education, even if we had to eat like two meals. The education was of the utmost brilliant standard. So that's the kind of background I come from. And I was in advertising, making all those funny and fancy campaigns for you name the biggest corporate you know of, and you are working, to create a digital campaign. And digital was just beginning to grow around 2010, 2012. So that was the time, and I had gone to shoot for one of the films that I was working on as a 23-year-old. I know, and I was the assistant director on the film, and all I was really doing was holding the reflector so that my director would not be angry with me. And I was just doing what I was being told to do and trying to be, I loved that job. I absolutely loved what I did, Sonia. And I think that's the core in my life, that if I don't love to a point of madness what I'm doing, I don't think I can be in it. Be it people, be it relationships, be it work, be it anything that I'm writing, I have to love what I'm doing. And I was loving what I was doing, and yet there came a time when so we were shooting in an Alzheimer's ashram where 600 105-year-old men and women were there, and to a point where they could not even stand up to go to the. So there were volunteers and there were people who were lifting them up and taking them to the bathrooms. And I remember the entire team that I was a part of were not the most sensitive people at the scene where we were shooting. So the simple scenes required us to kind of hold. There was this 96-year-old gentleman, Sonia, that I very, very clearly remember, who had leprosy on his on his entire skin, and he was also an Alzheimer's patient. So what happens is during leprosy is most of the times those lesions on your hand, they don't hurt you, but when you hit up against a wall or against a surface, that's when maximum amount of pain happens, and that's when जिसको हम हिंदी में कहते हैं करहाना निकल जाता है. You cry with pain. And so there was this one 96-year-old guy who was being subjected to that kind of pain only to get the shot that we were shooting right. And I was angry, and I think I've been angry at everything where I find injustice, not to a point of just being angry, because I think women are not even allowed to be angry, right? We're supposed to always be smiling with our in-laws and smiling with our, you come to think of anybody and everybody, we're supposed to be smiling. So I was not like that. If I don't find things just and fair, and there has to be a certain value system to what we do and how we do things. And if that was not there, I would raise my voice. not in the manner of disrespecting people, but definitely in a manner of letting them know that, hey, this is not the best way. Can we do it in a better way? And that's exactly what I did. But I also realized at 23, which I realized quite a few years later, that at 23, not a lot of people will listen to you, and that's okay. That's fair. I had to earn really to be heard, right? For all it was worth. And I moved away from the scene of shooting that was happening, and I come across this slum, which is again, so I was in that angry mood, feeling that the world is not sensitive, the world is not empathetic to vulnerable of any kind. And I meet this young 36, 37, 38-year-old mother who was pregnant with her seventh child, and she was already sending one of her girls to a brothel. So she had six daughters already. And just to cut the long story short, when I asked her if you're already pregnant with a seventh baby, which is in your womb, very heavily, visibly pregnant, what is it that you're going to do if you already have to send one of your kids to an unorganized brothel every fourth, fifth, sixth day? And she tells me, as a matter of fact, that if it's a boy, I will bring him up, get him educated, and all of that, and this boy will earn and give it back. But this time, if it's a girl, I will strangle her the minute she's born. And I think I was anyway of the opinion that the world needs to be more sensitive, the world needs to be more empathetic. But one thing led to the other, led to the other, and I think within 3 hours of this conversation with that woman, within 2 3 hours, the idea to start Protsahan had started taking place. Which
But
within
was it so simple that you just thought of it and started? What were the difficulties that you faced in this one?
The first basic difficulty was that I didn't have a lot of funds. I didn't have a business plan to say that, hey, today 10 children, tomorrow we will reach out to 110. And I think that's the fun part of when you start a lot of stuff new. The good thing, I sometimes feel it's great to not know everything, because then you are not bound by the limits and the boundaries of doing things a certain way, right? If you don't know a lot of things, you will do it your own way, right? You will figure it out your own way. And I think that was one of those beauties and those challenges, that no money, absolutely. My first job, I was into it for 14 months, so I barely had some 40, 50, 60,000 bucks as savings, barely. And that's how I started. I think I never bothered about whether the funds would be a problem one day, whether five people would be in the co-founding team with me or not. I didn't have a lot of intellect. I still don't. I didn't have a lot of fancy terminologies to pitch the case. But I think what I really did have was, all that I had was courage, and courage was my currency then. Courage is my currency now. And I think a lot of, and the fact that I didn't have a business plan, like a B plan or a plan B, I think completely changed. I will not say challenges were not there. Of course, they were there. Starting the fact that, hey, no money, bootstrap your way through making your organization that is not even profitable. But I think if you know what you got to do, you will figure the things out. Money will never be a problem if you know why you're doing what you're doing.
Um, I have very frequently, Sonal, worked in the NGO sector, and very briefly, when I say really briefly, even before I started doing any of it, it's just so happened that when I started off, I immediately conceived after 1 month, and I could not continue my work there. But I remember going to a couple of NGOs, and they had allocated work to me, and I had gone to these areas to teach the small kids. What I found there was, and the conversations that I generally had in those schools and the Anganwadi schools and everywhere, I found that one of the biggest challenges, not more so that the resources are not available now, because there are a lot of organization and the CSR initiatives and everything, which are sponsoring things, but there is a lot of this thing from the mothers, and this thing that they don't want to send their kids, or the fact that they don't want to come out of that situation that they are in. Do you think that that is still the case?
I think anybody who tells you that, be it an organization or be it a Sarkari Anganwadi, I think anyone who says that resources are great, but the women and the children themselves don't want to grow and evolve to a better standard of life, I think they are messing with you in the simplest of terms, I would say. Yes, it's not easy to talk about menstrual hygiene or reproductive health and systems. And ये आपकी योनि है, ये vagina है, ये breast है, ये when you talk about these things, of course there are challenges. But just something as simple as a session that we did last month on menstrual hygiene in a completely new setup, in a completely new community, the response was more than overwhelming. So I think it's also a lot of it has to do with how we approach. Do we approach the communities from a savior's complex? Do we approach from from a perspective that हम गोरे हैं, हम अफ्रीका में जाके काम करेंगे? I think if we evolve or if we start working that we know better, and hey, why aren't they here to, like, I'm here to tell them something great for them and they're not here. And I think that that mindset is what needs to kind of shift, completely revolve, because every woman, for example, even the woman that I met on the first day, right? For the longest time, and I would confess this completely, I would not say that I had this, thought process on day one. I always questioned, why would a mother send her child to some 50-year-old gentleman for a 500 rupees every week, right? I questioned, as a mother, she should not be doing that. But after a year or two of working on the ground with Protsahan, structuring programs, structuring all the bits, I think the lesson, again, the unlearning of more than the learning aspect, the unlearning came about that who am I to question? What if I have six kids and I have never been educated? What if I have six kids and to make sure the first five survive, I have to send one? I don't know how poverty hit who and how. ये उसी को पता है जिसके ऊपर बीतती है. And I think the NGOs or social enterprises or CSRs, even if we talk about corporate social responsibility groups, to be honest, right? For every 100 of them, maybe 10, 15, 20 are doing great work. But are the other 75 and 80? Are they only making their impact evaluation sheets on Excels? Are they only making the pivot tables that look great and fancy? Or are they genuinely giving for causes which are long term to actually see a change? Or they feel that for every 2 hours of training done, some transformations are going to happen. So I think because this is important point that you raised, Sonia, because I think it's important for people to understand that हमको बोलना बहुत आसान होता है कि एनजीओ ज़्यादा फ्रॉड होते हैं, the NGO sector is not the most credible sector. But for every fraudulent person who's working in the space of social service or the rule, I mean, I'm sure there will be some, but there's always a satyam, right? There's always a sahara. There's always a big enough corporate, one or two or 500 NGOs doing some ghapla versus one corporate. I mean, I think we also need to change the mindset that hey, NGOs are, they might be inefficient, agreed, because of limited resources. But to put them all in the same basket, I think that that would evolve, that will change when the people in the sector, or the volunteers, or the donors, the philanthropists, they also come from a perspective of, hey, we don't know the best. If we give the best to the community in terms of the pros and the cons, let them decide what's great for them. And in our experience, it's just empathy and creativity that have broken the ice, the icebreakers that we've used always, which have always worked. Not 8 on 10, but 10 on 10 times.
So, Sonal, over the years, it's almost been 10, 11 years since you've started Protsahan. Now, what is the kind of change that you are seeing? As in, statistics wise, do you see the changes happening in the society at grassroots level as well? And the scenario is changing, the cases are going down. What is it? Or is it is exactly where it was 10 years back?
So when we work at Protsahan, we don't say we don't look at numbers. We look at numbers, yeah, but it's more of the individual lives that we have impacted, because we also understand that we can't solve the entire problem in 5 years or 3 years or 10 years. This problem might exist beyond our lifetimes, and we have to create systems and processes which are not parallel to that of the government, but support and fill the gaps that the government systems have left over, rather than creating something which is competitive with the government. Because honestly, that is stupid, right? What if you create systems that help the government do stuff that they do best, right? Or help them fill the gaps that they have somehow kind of left. And I think in the process of how the change has been and what the change has been, the fact that we work very, very deeply. So if ever there's a choice, Sonia, between empathy and scale in our course of work, we always pick up empathy and the deep soul immersion work that we do with one community or two communities or 400 girls or 800 girls. We will never look at it and say that, hey, we are going to change the lives of 8 lakh girls. Because, and I think anybody who claims to do that is probably, again, messing up with you. You can always say that, hey, you've worked on a documentation or a system or a training curriculum or a setup that will help achieve these numbers in the next, years of time. But the fact that the individual lives that we have changed, we have rescued about 928 girls now from different points of violence, abuse, adverse childhood circumstances of child rights violations, specifically in the last 10 years. We've worked with very, very intensely with about 72,000 children in the last 11 years now, not 10, at different levels of, schools in the south, that is in Salem and Coimbatore with Teach for India, in Delhi slums directly with our work, in a lot of slums in Mumbai, a lot of partnerships and collaborations again, because again, we can't do this work alone as Protsahan. We need to collaborate, but these are a few numbers that I can just straight away give you. But I think our biggest victory, Sonia, has been that the girl champions that we have created out of these, 100, 200 girls that have now become teachers and artists and wedding film photographers. And these were some of the kids who were dealing with sexual violence, who were dealing with incest, who were dealing with child marriages. So they are now not a bride at 12 and a mother at 14, but she is a dance teacher and a youth peer leader at 20. So I think delaying the age of marriages, delaying the age of the first pregnancy, in that one life that we've worked with has been the biggest victory for us.
Phenomenal, Sonal. As in, just to hear all of this, it is so, so, so very inspiring, and the great work that you all are doing. So, Sonal, the this Women's Day, the theme for Women's Day is choose to challenge, and I'm sure there are a lot of things that you see around that you would want to change. But having said that, what is that one thing that you see around you that is it that you think that you would like to challenge to bring in a significant move in the way or the situation that women are in currently?
I think we have to realize, I will not put the onus on men because they only understand as much. I think I'll put the onus back onto us to make men realize that patriarchy, before I think it harms the women, patriarchy also harms men. We need to make them realize that. We need to make them understand that, hey, please don't stand up and protect us. Just stand with us. You don't stand in front of us. Pass on the mic, learning to pass on the mic. And also, when we are talking about women, let's not forget the trans women. Let's not forget the third gender. You know, I think a lot of times the conversations always become binary between men and women or boy and a girl. I think it's high time that younger generations and millennials that we so often say that, hey, they're only as good as, being millennials. I think it's important for us to put down our ego as 30, 40-year-olds and say, hey, there is a 25-year-old who knows more than us. And I think we need to understand that, and just understanding and passing on the message that patriarchy is an evil that we have to fight together. Because without patriarchy being fought, no matter what you do and how you do, at some point in time in life or other, you will encounter being discriminated just because of the fact that you're not a man. So patriarchy has to be fought. Stand with your sisters. Stand with, not just your blood sisters, but every woman who's trying to do something for profit, with profit, a young girl, an old woman. Just build that sisterhood, because if that's not there, I think we will fall and fail.
Very true. Thank you so much, Sonal, for giving us this time. It has been a truly, truly inspirational session for us. And as I said initially, that all our conversations have been from people from various walks of life. And it has truly been an enriching experience for me also to get to know about so many things that we generally do not look at in our day-to-day scenario. I would request all the people who are watching this live to contribute to these causes, whether by being a volunteer or by any other way, because somewhere down the line we need to give back to the society also if you want to see that change in the environment that we are in. So, any last thoughts, Sonal, that you would like to share with us?
Just that I think it's important for us to understand that if we are sensitive, it's okay. If we are vulnerable, it's okay. It's okay to fail. It's okay to fall. It's okay to cry. It's okay for men to, it's okay for men to cry. It's okay for us, for us to break gender stereotypes. So something that we always, my husband and I laugh about it, that so he's a sardar, right? He has hair longer than mine, and he's a more, the introvert, the calmer one, and I'm the more vociferous one. I think it's okay for, he cooks the best. I can't even, I can just barely cook to survive. So I think it's okay for us to break gender stereotypes. And if people don't get you, if not today, tomorrow they would. And if they don't tomorrow, and I think it's okay. It's, you have to be answerable to who you are at the end of this entire journey, wherever, whenever it ends. And just take care of each other. I think anyone, just be kinder. I think it would solve things better.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sonal. Thank you so much for taking out this time and sharing all these views with us. It has been a phenomenal session, and truly, truly, your work is really, really phenomenal, and it's truly inspiring. All the best for all the things that you're doing. And yeah, from Team MommyWise, we will try to contribute and take the message as far as we can to help to this particular cause. Thank
You
you so
have
much for.
incredible, Sonia, you and your team. Thank you, thank you, thank you for just doing all the background coordination to make this possible. And for somebody as techie, completely who's not aware of these things, I think you made it very simple for me to join in. So thank you and kudos to all of you at MommyWise.
Thank you so much, Sonal. Thank you so much for the encouraging words. Bye bye. Take care.